Good afternoon, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Council members, local elders, distinguished guests, academic staff, fellow graduates, and of course our family and friends celebrating with us today. It is with great honour and privilege that I stand here to give the vote of thanks on behalf of today's medicine and health graduates. The ceremony and the lunch beforehand has been absolutely beautiful, so thank you to the to the UNE staff who have organised and put this all together. My name is Andrea Fernandez, and it has taken me a long time to get this degree, 6.5 years actually. Starting out as a mature age student in my mid-20s, completing my studies part-time and online, it has been a long journey. But it's also not an uncommon path among us graduates. I know that several of my peers have also juggled their studies with work, family, other commitments, not to mention placement as well. I'm sure we've all been asked, how do you do it? How do you study online? How do you manage study and work or family? I'd usually shy away from these questions because I didn't really know. I just knew that I enjoyed what I was learning enough, and even though I went through my cycle of stress at assessment time, I always look forward to eventually starting in my profession. But since submitting my final thesis, I've had a lot of time to think and reflect on my time as a student, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. It is wild to me how UNE and my studies has become a constant pillar that has helped me keep moving forward throughout life's transitions, the ups, the downs, the lessons, the death of a loved one, and not to mention the fires, floods, and COVID. And I know that this also isn't uncommon among us graduates. I recall the time during the Black Summer bushfires when we weren't sure if other students would be able to make it to intensives. And like I mentioned, COVID. Who wasn't affected by COVID? I wrote a thesis on it. And I've spoken with students about how their study plans and placements have all been uprooted within the past 2 years. But like I said, throughout my life's changes and challenges, UNE has been a consistent pillar. And that's because I can say with honesty that I've always felt supported by the staff and my peers, despite never directly meeting many of you. I've connected with so many students through group chats, Facebooks, Zoom calls, mentoring groups, and a book club. Just last week, I connected with a group of students to talk through the early stages of honours and support them through the nerves of being at the precipice of change. And when I did get to meet my peers, either here at beautiful Armidale or close to my home in Parramatta, there were always friends to make. I've had pub feeds, dumpling lunches, and even a pasta night at a shared Airbnb. Some peers I may have only met once or twice, but I've since watched them start their careers, marry, start a family, travel, or move to the other side of the world. We've all shared the experience of going through the motions of icebreakers and awkward small talk with people we don't know, but I swear by the end of our time here, we've all made friends with inside jokes, as well as new Facebook friends, and especially new networks. I wouldn't have been able to complete my degree without the support of my academic supervisors and mentors who provided a wealth of knowledge, networks, and patience. I've had several fantastic unit coordinators and supervisors who have pestered for support even well after being their student, whether that be to seek advice or to ask for feedback. I am incredibly grateful for my honours supervisor and my academic mentors for guiding me through the research process and for being my test subjects for mock interviews, and for all the opportunities, including being a part of Swiss Social Work in Schools, which was a very exciting and eye-opening experience. There was a moment I did feel so overwhelmed by my studies that I wrote a panicked letter informing my course coordinator that I had to quit. I just couldn't possibly go on because recruitment was too difficult. My coordinator calmly talked me out of it. She reminded me that the obstacles in my way did not mean I was not capable, but it was just a part of the research process. And even with my units, I've always felt supported by just the simple structure and delivery of the units. Weekly readings, weekly tasks, constant feedback, and connection with other students. It's provided structure to online learning that would otherwise have been incredibly daunting. It didn't matter what was happening in my life or that my studies was online. I always felt like I had a community I could turn to, and that created stability. That stability has meant a lot. I can't speak for the rest of my cohort today, but I do think each and every one of us would appreciate the massive effort that the academic staff have put into our professional development, so thank you. Another important thank you that I'm confident all graduates would appreciate me voicing goes to our families and loved ones who bore the grunt of our stress, slack, and slumps. Studying takes a lot of energy and balancing. which sometimes meant we may have fell short in other areas of our lives. But being here today means so much to us. Your support and love is how we got to be here. And that leads me to my final acknowledgement and thank you. And that goes out to this cohort of incredibly smart and resilient individuals. You are now the nurses, social workers, community workers, health professionals, and mental health professionals. You're doing the pointy end work within your communities. Please remember to reflect and acknowledge the effort that you have put into getting here today. You managed to do it all through a global pandemic. You exemplify the spirit, strength, and determination that I believe is intrinsic to the care profession. I have full faith that UNE has prepared us to take our next step into our careers, and I'm proud of every one of us. It's been a pleasure learning with you, and it's an honour graduating by your side. I hope to see you in the field. Thank you.